Hello everyone, so today we're gonna take a look at how pre-making is created. So I'm gonna use linoleum, which is type of relief pre-making. So linoleum is a material that has the canvas on the back, and this little wood particle is mixed with linseed oil. So usually it's corks, so this very high density cork. So it is very easy to carve, and it doesn't have any grain like the other type of wood cuts. So it can be easily cut curves and things like that. And also one of the characteristic of lino cut is having, when you print something, it has really solid and flat black compared to where wood cuts have this the texture of the wood grain. So lino is very easy to work with, and so probably why they use it for beginner pre-making, because it's very easy and less likely to stab yourself with a cutting tool because it's easy to carve. Give me 1 second. Sorry about that. So, alright, where was I? Alright, so let's get back to it. So lino cut, you don't have to pre-coat your matrix with anything, because when you start carving into it, you are gonna see that anywhere you carve is going to be lighter shade of this brown. So, and also the ink that we're going to be using is very sticky ink, so you don't have to it's not gonna, by creating this pencil line, it's not gonna work as a resistance or anything like that. So I'm just gonna draw straight on it, and the tool that we're gonna use to cut is going to be one of these little safety cutter. So it's made by Speedball. So anything pre-making, Speedball makes it, so they usually do a very good job. So behind here you'll see, if you buy one of these, you'll see like different these cutting tools. So these are forward cutting tool, meaning that you push to cut, whereas some of them has like a reverse cutting tool where it looks something like this, where you scoop your material out. But this is kind of, I'm not a big fan of this, because when you try to scoop something out, it is very likely to stab yourself because it's pulling towards yourself. So I'm not a big fan of that. Muted. All right, so we're gonna solely work with the forward cutting tool, which is these guys right here. Give me 1 second. So we have a bigger gouge for, you guys can see it, bigger gouge for cutting out large area, a little bit thinner ones, but it's kind of a U shape to create kind of a thicker line and deep cuts, and we have V shapes to create thick but very sharp angle. And lastly, we have very thin V-shaped one for like a really detailed works. There we go. All right, and also we have this kind of a cutting tool, which I don't use a lot. So this is, you can kind of use this kind of like skin the lino, but it's very unpredictable, so I don't like to use them. So first, I'm gonna start with something very thin, because it's usually easier to work with. So the way this tool works is, if you unscrew this top part, it has these these two locking mechanism. So the way this is designed is that one part has the core, and the other part is hollow like this. So this curvature back line side of the blade goes on top of this core, like this. Focus, come on. And then the other one goes like that, and then this screws together to secure the blade to the tool. So make sure that your locking mechanism is inside, and I'm just gonna slightly tighten it. Just give it like a one turn, and you're gonna have to find like a little space that goes in so that the blade goes in between those two core locking mechanism. And then you just tighten this to secure your blade to your cutting tool. Alrighty, so that is it. So first thing first, we have to come up with some kind of a plan. Yes, you can just go and start carving, but it is always better to have a clear plan, because lino, even though it's relatively cheap material, it costs money to buy these. It's not like piece of paper you can just rip it out, and then, you know, start drawing again. And also, if you make a mistake, there's no way that you can go back to undo your mistakes, so it's always better to have some kind of planning. So here I can draw something like a mountainscape, moon, and what else can be done? Rock here, very rocky surface, and here just kind of all mountains and blah blah blah, and there's like a city. Just why not? And boom boom, and it's gonna radiate from back there. That might be a little too big, but anyway, so I have roughly sketched out the things that I want to do. So I'm gonna start carving. So I'm gonna use the very thin one just to kind of indicate where I want to carve. So starting here, I'm gonna start push down my cutting tool and then start pushing. So whenever you're working with like a carving tool like this, you get very tempted to put your hand right here and then start carving like this. That works great because it is stopping this motion of pushing forward. But this is very dangerous because if you put pressure on it and then if you slip, this cutting tool is going right into your finger. And this thing, believe it or not, is very sharp, so it'll just literally stab through your finger, and that is just not that is not just good. So I always suggest students to kind of hold it like the behind and then try to do it, but it's very difficult, and your instinct keeps telling you to do this even though it's very dangerous. So make sure that whenever you're using with some kind of carving tool, you never cut or carve towards you, so you never do this or you never do that. So if you try to do this, you might just stab yourself, and that's gonna be worse than stabbing your fingers. And if you try to do this, you're gonna stab your finger, and that is just not good. So one thing that you can use instead of holding like this is, give me 1 second, something like this, which is masking tape or painter's tape. So I'm gonna take some of this, and then just secure it to the your working area like that, and you can just stabilize it with your one hand like this and start carving. So lino, because it doesn't have any grains, you can create very nice curved lines, whereas with the woodcut it would be very difficult because of the wood grain. You can create very consistent curved lines like this. So notice that anywhere that I'm going to be cutting, and when you print it on it, it's going to be the white lines. So you kind of have to think backward for the really paint to make sense. So anywhere that I make groove is not going to get any ink, so that is why it is going to be left white. And like I mentioned, anywhere you carve with linoleum, it's gonna expose this lighter inside material, which makes it easier for you to kind of get you the sense of where you're going with your drawing and carving. So I'm gonna right here. I'm gonna give it like a little jagged line here and there. Like that. And now I have to change the position of this tape. So I'm just gonna undo this and rotate it like this, hold it like this, and So by creating these vertical lines, I'm kind of introducing this three-dimensionality of this cliff right here. Not too sure if it is working or not, but I think it's visually working, especially once we print this thing. Oh no, I went over a little bit. It's alright, it's not the end of the world. So another technique that you can try is by plunger tool and then just kind of wiggle it just to create kind of these zigzag lines. So that is another cool trick that you can do with this carving tool. It gets quite tiring after a while because even though linoleum is very soft material, it takes a lot of time. I really wish that you guys are not online classes and have a hands-on experience on this lino cut, but you guys had to take an online class, huh? Well, I understand. It's all this COVID and situation with online class obviously seems like it's the way to go. So here another nice gentle heel. Ah, come on. Alright, so I'm gonna reposition my tape and start working on this side right here. So notice that it's not that much different than the just regular drawing, but it's just that working with matrix is a lot of time. It takes a lot of time. I think I mentioned a couple times that pre-making is very process heavy, so each small cuts like this becomes the part of creative activity. And people who practice this art making method really values their process, all the science and tradition that goes behind it. So instead of just being the outcome being a work of art, they really value on the process of making art, and that process becomes their work as well. Because if you look at the any kind of a printed print, you can see each lines and you can really tell the different process, and then the artist working on one by one, carving small by one to construct the overall image, and then all the chemical process or pre-making process that goes into is very evident in any kind of a print. So that is something that very highly valued when you, and that is something that you should be looking at, the different process and different type and technique of pre-making when you're prints. I think I'm out of focus a little bit, so give me 1 second. All right, that's better. Okay, so here I'm gonna change my tape position one more time. This blue painter tapes works really great because it's really easy to peel off, and then once you put it down, it gives nice bonding strength as well. So even though your cuts are very shallow, because we're using flat roller, which we'll get to see next video, even if the cuts are really shallow, it still registers if you put the ink correctly, of course. But still, you'll see that you'll be amazed by how much of a detail it captures. The thing about nature is that it's very unpredictable the way it forms. So if you try to, and our mind likes things that are predictable, so if you let your guard down, you're gonna start creating some kind of pattern. So make sure that you're not doing that, especially when you're drawing something that has to do with nature. So let's flip it around and see what it looks like. Well, that's not too bad. And I could have made someone like standing right here, but well, that would be kind of a too cliche Instagram type of picture, so I don't want that. So here I'm gonna give another gentle mountain slope like that. Then all this. Then I'm gonna change the tool to something a little bit wider. This. Might be a little too wide actually. Let's grab this one instead. Oh. The reason why I'm doing this is that each vertical cut that I'm going to make on this part, it is going to represent the buildings. So I'm going to try to make as thick line as possible. Okay. And in a close proximity, like this. Something like that, and then I'm gonna switch back to the thin one again. Come on, sometimes you just gotta do that too. Pull it out, maybe not. Sorry for the audio. It's painful to hear that. I had no choice. The thin V-shaped one. This. Then I'm gonna give it like a tiny little buildings on the back here and there, just to make it a little bit more interesting. Alright, and then now I wanna create this kind of a radiating light. So I'm gonna start carving that as well. I'm gonna give it a little bit of variation here and there. Alright, so that is turning into really nice printmaking here. Alright, so once I go to the so next video I'm gonna film printing this matrix using the ink and the roller and the press, and I'll see you guys in the next video. So if you get a chance, it is really good to have a hands-on experience on any kind of a medium that we go over. So for instance, drawing or painting, it is always better for you to have this kind of a hands-on experience. So I strongly suggest to get like a piece of linoleum. So you can get this from Blick, which is an art supply store, or you can go to Michael's and get one of these as well. And you can get this at Michael as well. I think it was like $15. So try it out and then see what it feels like. So you really have to understand this friction of the materials and the cutting tools, to be able to fully appreciate the artwork. So if you get, I'm not requiring you to try this out. It is always, you know, suggested, because I am not allowed to make you guys spend anything other than the textbook, but still, it'll be a really nice experience for you guys. So I'll see you guys on the next video on printing this, and there is going to be there might be one more lecture video next for this week, so just be on the lookout for that. And if you have not taken exam for some reason, you are in very deep trouble. So I will be posting the extra credit assignment soon, so that it's going to count towards 10% of your exam 2 grade. So if you somehow missed the exam 2, I strongly suggest to participate in that, just to get that 10%, because 10% is a lot better than 0. So make sure to do that. And if you have any late assignment, upload it as soon as possible. So I will be accepting late works, anything but that is older than week 4 assignment. So send me an email telling me which assignment it is, because I won't be, if you don't identify which assignment it is, I won't be able to tell which one it is, and that is just too much work on me. So make sure to always rename your file to like week 4 activity, something like that, so that I can grade it much easier. All right, so that stopped me nagging at you guys, and I will see you guys on Thursday.